Hi, I'm Sumo. We're here at Gallery 121, which is my gallery and my studio. I'm an artist and painter. I paint on canvas and I collaborate with brands. I have a graffiti background. I've been painting for almost 30 years. But today I'm painting on canvas in my studio and very little on walls. So the visual language in my paintings comes from graffiti. So I'm using spray paint and acrylic paint that I apply with brushes. I also use markers or anything that will leave a mark. It has a graffiti feel. I don't consider it as graffiti, but that's the visual language in my paintings. So Sumo was a nickname I got in high school. We were two Christians in class and one of my classmates called me Sumo, probably more to annoy me than anything else. And just as he said the word, as I heard the name, I thought, well, that has a really nice ring to it. I wasn't a very big fan of my real name, so I said, yes, call me Sumo. And from that moment, that was my nickname. And when I discovered graffiti, it was pretty evident for me to use those 4 letters. I started drawing as a kid. As soon as I could hold a pen, I would start to draw. And I was inspired by music, very much inspired by album covers, especially heavy metal album covers and the typography. So graffiti only came much later because there was no graffiti scene before that. The graffiti part came much later as an older teenager. So the very first graffiti I did was on the train tracks on the district line in West London. And it was a character I painted under a bridge, and you could see it from the tube. But the real first wall that I painted that kind of kicked everything off here in Luxembourg was basically just 10 meters down the road in Rue de Strasbourg at the station. And it's no longer there, but that was in '95. Today you see the school which is built in that exact spot. So when I started, there was no real graffiti scene. There was some guys that have already been doing graffiti, that had been painting under the bridges, but they never wrote the same name with words like DJ and nice or zone and something, generic words like that. Once I started with my friends Spike and Stick, we chose one name and we stuck to that. I think today I let other people decide that. What if they want to see it as street art or urban art or just painting or post graffiti. You can call it as you want. For me, it's my way of expressing myself. I don't really need to add a term to it. But the difference to me is, well, graffiti is the original form of what today is called street art. I don't think anyone was really talking about street art before the turn of the millennium. It's really when the media started to take graffiti and use it as a de facto style to represent something young and hip. They would use graffiti styles and drips and characters in advertising. And from that moment on, a lot of graphic designers and illustrators they took that and made their characters and made their own stickers and posters. And at some point they would try and do the same thing using spray cans and paint legal walls and all this. And this kind of, to me, became what is street art today. I mean, it includes a lot of things. I'm personally not a big fan of the word street art because it just includes too many things that have nothing to do with where I'm from. So what influences me in my work is everyday life, things that happen around me. It's what happens in the news. It's the popular culture. It's the music I'm listening to. I listen to a lot of music when I'm painting, and sometimes I will use song lyrics. Sometimes I will get into a certain mood and use certain colors. I'll make a reference to something or a word game. And the type of music I'm listening to is very broad. I listen to a lot of funk and hip hop, but I also listen to rock and metal and electronic music or brass bands and jazz and whatever. So it goes in all directions, and every time I change a style, I listen to different styles. It will also influence me differently on my paintings. My style evolves constantly, so it changes all the time. Although you can recognize my paintings. People say it doesn't change at all, which I disagree. It changes. To me, it changes a lot. And I think if you would look back at every single year, you can see the variations and the evolution. But my technique evolves all the time. Also, the shape of my character changes. So everything is in constant evolution. I'm very excited to do my next show at the BIL Bank here in Luxembourg. I think it's one of the most beautiful places to exhibit. They have their gallery called Indépendance, and I'll be showing a lot of big pieces, and it will also be the next step towards the next level of my body of work, which is going to be digital work. And I'm working on this digital piece that I will present for the first time to the public. Art to me is a way of life, a lifestyle, but it's also seeing things differently and expressing yourself, expressing what you're living and sharing that with other people is also something that captures the spirit of the time. So whatever happens today will be captured in the paintings. These are maybe my visions of the future, of something that is happening right now. And when you look back at paintings or old paintings, I think good art can tell a story and can serve as a memory of something that used to be. Maybe even a different way of thinking after it progressed along after the years. There is different types of graffiti. There is people who write in the toilets. There's people who write "I love Maria" on a wall on the motorway. There's people who write their name on a wall or on a bench. There's all different. There's political slogans. There's people who they express themselves in writing on a wall. It can be anything, and that to me is all of this is graffiti. But what as graffiti and as a style is when people add their name to a wall, and basically they are anonymous and they don't show themselves, and they kind of force you to accept the persona that they are creating for themselves. So you will never see the person. It's like Banksy. He doesn't show himself. So you see his art. It's all about his art, and the rest you have to imagine yourself. And you become a mystery person. And because you're a mystery person, you're even more interesting because it's people maybe start talking about who's this Banksy guy, who's Sumo, and they have these graffiti cliches in their head, and and some think I'll just wear, baggy clothes and a baseball cap. They have this image of me because they compare it to things that they know about graffiti. And that is how I created the Crazy Bald Head. I created the Crazy Bald Head in 1999, so this year it's going to be 25 years that I've been painting the character. And he was born in the streets doing graffiti. I remember just adding a character every time to my name. So I wrote Sumo, I added the character, and I saw that people remembered the character more than my name. So I kind of switched over to painting mainly the character. And so I was building up a brand without even knowing that I'm building a brand around the character. That's how things developed for me, and I wanted to get away from traditional graffiti. And for that I needed to be different. The whole idea about graffiti was always to be different, to have your own style, and to rise from the masses of graffiti writers. So everyone kind of uses the same technique. Everyone uses spray cans, everyone puts an outline, everyone uses letters and a name. But how can you be different? So you can be different by, if everyone paints in color, you paint in black and white. If everyone paints huge, you might do really little things so that, you'll be different from everyone else and people remember you. Around the 2000s, I started to make hand-drawn stickers, like big stickers. I would find this big sticker paper and I would make really nice drawings on it, cut them out and stick them in the street. And for me that was, first of all, much easier to apply something nice in the street that people would instantly recognize, and it was large. Instead of standing in the street and drawing it on the surface straight away, it would take me much longer. And this way I could plaster the street in a few hours. I would just have 20, 30 characters in the street, and I'm already gone. And I would go into different cities and leave my mark that way. What I found later is that other guys were doing the same, and then we started hanging out together. We started to kind of jam together and make drawings together and make little projects and exhibitions together. And this little, recreated our little scene, and we found that there's lots of little scenes that got created, and all these little scenes kind of all mixed and came together, and that's, I guess, what was the beginning of what is now street art, until the media picked it up and graphic designers started to come in and do the same. But it was kind of that shift from going from traditional graffiti to using different mediums. The concept of my work is time and space. What I will do is I will document time, and every element on my painting represents a moment in time. So if it's music, then there'll be some lyrics. Maybe I'll just add different colors. I'll add my elements like bubbles and clouds and the character. I will add messages. I will keep adding onto the painting like writing into a journal. And the more time passes, the more layers you have, and it's the layers of time that build up in the depth of the painting. Then you have the painting itself is like, if you zoom in with the microscope, you will see details that you don't see with the naked eye. And when you zoom out, and if you look away from, you will not see the details, but you'll see the bigger picture around it. That is the idea of my paintings.